But I'm just going to try one thing, okay?
Don't.
Let me try one thing, TJ.
Don't do it. I will hurt you.
Can I just try one thing? You flick me, and then I'll flick you. Go ahead.
Hello and welcome to the Invincible podcast, probably the best superhero podcast in the universe. This is a show where friends get to sit around and talk all things Invincible, a comic book by Robert Kirkman. On today's episode, we're going to be diving into issue 137, which was released on June 21st, 2017, as well as going over some Invincible news, some listener letters, and then stick around for later in the episode when we talk to Logan Moore for our fan spotlight all about Invincible in video games. I'm your host, Ryan, and joining me is TJ.
It's TJ, bitch.
And Bill.
It's Brittany, bitch. Was that not right?
I mean, it worked, I guess.
I was just trying to be as witty as TJ. Can we rewind?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
And joining me is TJ.
It's TJ, bitch.
And Bill.
Hi.
Yeah, that's much better. So starting off with the Invincible news, Skybound announced one of the exclusives for San Diego Comic-Con. Now, exclusive as in, like, it's going to be exclusively at San Diego Comic-Con until it's available in the Skybound store.
Until it's not exclusive.
Exactly. And that is the the new Skybound minis. I sent you guys a picture of them. Now, you guys, they're similar to the previous Skybound minis, but now they're actually full colored, and they're now going to be blind boxes in a sense of they're not just Invincible and Walking Dead anymore. Now they're a bunch of different series. What do you guys think of these?
I think they're cool.
I like Conquest.
Yeah, Conquest.
I think Science Dog's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Evil robot they have too.
Yeah. So the Invincible ones that they have just the, yellow and blue Invincible. They also have a black and blue Invincible. They have a robot and then an evil robot. There's a Conquest. And I guess you could throw in Science Dog as, Invincible related in a way. But yeah, so otherwise, like, the Negan's pretty cool,
Yeah, I think the only way that these things work are if they're colored. Like, I don't really like the minis that are just
the solid
nothing.
color.
I guess you could do them yourself, which is cool. But...
Which is funny, because I thought to myself, like, hey, maybe someday I'll either paint this or get this painted. But now that these are released, now the bummer is they're blind boxes. And
so you don't know
you don't know what you're getting.
So you can get Zombie Punk.
Yeah.
Or
Sacagawea.
Why? What the fuck is
It's
Sacagawea?
from, what is it? The
Manifest Destiny. Yeah.
Where it's
Lewis and Clark.
Lewis and Clark.
Lewis and Clark's Adventures.
Superman Adventures.
Yes.
Gotcha. Sacagawea is on that?
Sacagawea?
Yeah, season 2. So they're $10 a pop, which is kind of a lot for a blind box, because it sucks, because I want all the Invincible ones. So
you don't want Kyle?
I want Kyle.
What the fuck
Kyle
is
from Outcast.
Outcast.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's 2 mystery figures, too, which clearly look like Rick and Kyle. Probably like bloody ones. I think there's also going to be Kyle. I think there's also going to be like gold ones and such, too. But yeah, other than that, Invincible news. Today, the day we're recording this, also the day issue 137 came out, they revealed the cover in the solicitations for Invincible issue 140. So what do you guys think? I mean...
Thrag is on the cover.
Thrag is now the main cover.
And we have just read 137, which means that we still have 38, 39, 40, 3 issues with Thrag.
So he is not dying anytime soon.
Yeah, which kind of is a bummer, I think.
I mean, we had theorized that maybe he was going to die early, but I think it's safe to say that that theory is probably not going to happen. I mean, it could be that he's on the cover and he died in the previous issue, but I doubt it. He's probably going to stick around.
Could Thrag see Robot as more of a threat now, and then maybe Thrag and Mark work together?
Know. We'll get to that.
That would be crazy.
The only 2 people on this cover are Thrag and Invincible.
Do you think that was done intentionally?
Maybe.
I
think that it can only mean that, like, the 2 of them are going to get stuck in a dimension with just the 2 of them, and they're going to have to, like, come together to get out, and they're going to become best friends and learn life lessons.
And they're actually going to be married by the end of it.
Everywhere you look,
come together.
Yeah, something like that. I think it's cool that this is the first cover that isn't as much of a collage as the other ones. It literally is just Mark's head in the
I
background.
actually really like.
So is
like, that picture of Mark looks awesome?
Yeah.
How many more issues are there? When does it end? 142?
144.
144. So there's 4 issues after.
Yeah.
3 issues after this. No. 41, 42, 44.
Yeah.
3. Yeah.
That's how math works. So is this done to hide the fact that there's like we look at these now and just like we just did, oh, Eve's on the cover of this one, guess she's not dying, or look, Anand's not on any of these covers, we think he's gonna die, and then he died. You know what I mean? Like,
do you think there have been people on covers that they haven't been in the issues? It's really just been one big collage.
I don't think that's happened actually.
But I agree.
It hasn't happened?
No. And so there's no Eve on this cover. There's no Nolan on this cover. No Tara. You know what I mean? Like, do you think now they're getting to the point where they can't show collages on the covers anymore?
I guess, but the thing that bums me about this, again, is that we know Thrag is alive.
Yeah, well...
He would have to be, unless it's like...
Or it could be his...
died in last issue.
It could be his funeral. Yeah, it could be... Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. Either way, it's an awesome-looking cover. Along with that, they showed off the cover for Volume 24. So that's the End of All Things Part 1.
I have another theory on this cover. Now that we're on it, would you say that the lighting is something that's unique?
140?
Sorry, yes, 140. The lighting is something that's unique on Mark's face.
Yeah,
like
super glowy.
Super glowy.
Yeah.
Almost like they're by the sun. Almost like they're
still fighting it by the sun.
Still fighting by the sun. It looks like it could. Like what else is that bright?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way it is.
Could just be a sunny day.
The way it is.
We're quoting some songs here.
Yeah, we are. So, Volume 24, trade paperback, End of All Things. Awesome cover. I like that. It almost looks like that.
It looks like
it almost looks like half of Thrag is going to like match up with someone else. You know what I mean? Like Volume 25 is going to be the other half of someone else's
End of All
face.
Things Part 2, presumably.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like Walking Dead does.
It would probably be the other side of Thrag's face.
Most likely, yeah. But then I guess it would
bloody or skeleton, maybe. That would be kind of cool.
I dig it. I think they both look awesome.
I really like that fucking cover to 140.
Mm-hmm. I want to jump into a email real quick, because remember, you can email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter and Facebook. This is an email we got from Patty. So listen along. He says, "Hey guys, first off, love the podcast. You have a really interesting format with the new issue discussions and the new readers." He goes on to say that he really likes the new readers. He says, "On to the meat. I, like everyone else, was so disappointed to hear that Invincible is ending, but I believe in Kirkman. I've just been thinking of what I want to see, and I thought I'd love to hear you guys' points. So Lil Marky is the only pure-blood baby Viltrumite in the world. This should be massive. Do you guys think he's going to play a large part in the upcoming finale? What would Thrag do if he hears of his existence? Has Anissa settled down and realized the value of life, love, and other races? She's got 2 kids, man, and I know she's pretty hardcore. I'm hoping to see some Anissa Mama Bear action. Honestly, this storyline is what I wish it could continue apart from Invincible. The next generation of Tara and Marky and Oliver. Do you guys have any storylines that you were hoping to see that will no longer happen? Speaking of Mark and death, I totally agree with you guys, and Mark's going nuts. I keep picturing him holding Tara in his arms with tears in his eyes. I'm betting he rejoins the war and wrecks shit and takes over the Viltrum Empire. I think that Robot's guards from Mark's visit to the future indicate that Robot's infrastructure will still be in place, and with Immortal in Robot's place. And yeah, one or both of Ursel and Anand are going to die in pieces. It makes me a little sad. Anand seems a little nuts. Bill.
This happened a while ago.
So we just got this email from Patty. I don't think he's caught up.
He's not caught up.
He's only at issue 130. And so far, he's pretty on track. So yeah, Anand did die. And so far, you are right on track, Patty. We are going to kind of see some more Marky, and Anissa is going to go all Mama Bear action.
Because
hopefully.
she actually says, "Oh, I love being human now," or like the human way.
Yeah. So he said, in summation, I can't wait for issue 131, and these delays are worse than the Scourge virus. So until that shapeshifter hobo takes Thrag's place and falls in love with Eve's ex-lover Kubian, make mine the Invincible podcast. Love, Patty. I just wanted to read that email because it was fun, and I got until almost the entire email to realize he wasn't caught up.
Right. You started to read. You're like, Anand and Ursel. Wait a minute. Anand's dead already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you get to this, Patty, good job on your predictions because you were pretty spot on.
That would be a very good way to make it look like you're a genius by pretending to write an old email.
So, before we get into the discussion on 137, I just also want to say thank you to all the people that have left us iTunes reviews. I haven't checked these in a couple months, and I just went on the other day to check, and we've got 3 new iTunes reviews, all with 5 stars. Previously, we didn't have enough iTunes reviews to give us a rating officially, and we now do. So,
what's our rating?
we are 5 stars.
Get the fuck out of here.
You're right, we are.
You better keep it that way.
Right.
Keep it that way.
There was a 6-star.
So, a couple of them here. G. Mifra said, "If you like Invincible, this podcast is for you. The charm of the podcast is just a few comic geeks, and I mean that as a compliment, discussing the comic and related titles. Their enthusiasm for the comic is genuine and contagious. They occasionally have guests such as Ryan Ottley. Very highly recommended." Thank you. As well as Red Earth 18, who said, "I was excited to find out about the podcast about my favorite comic book existed and blazed through every episode in 2 weeks. Great discussions and great chemistry between the hosts. Highly recommended for fans of Invincible."
Oh, we do have great chemistry.
And then finally, I've got one from Cool Bean 5 here. Here's what I love about the podcast. I love the fact that it's a niche podcast. It covers Invincible and other Skybound related things. I love this podcast for continually discussing the art. I feel like the artist is often overlooked and the focus goes solely to the writer. But these guys consistently recognize Ryan Ottley for the storytelling and visual brilliance he brings to the book. I love the fan spotlights. It's nice to hear how other fans experienced Invincible for the first time, which issue they cracked open first. When you hear someone has been reading Invincible since issue 23 or 12, it's like meeting a vampire who's been around since the Vikings. I love hearing the new reader experiences. They make me think back to my own initial reactions to various moments in Invincible, like what it felt like during the fight with Conquest or when Adam and Mark finally got together. It's also funny to hear them say issue 100 was not a big deal because they did not have to wait a month for it to come out. The only bummer is that this podcast is every 2 weeks. I wish it was weekly. I think there are enough Invincible fans and the content out there to make it weekly. For example, Ryan Ottley's Death Grub and Ted Noodleman, Kirkman's run on Marvel Zombies, Ant-Man or Destroyer by Corey Walker. Anyways, if you're reading this and you're a fan and want to know more about Invincible, definitely hit subscribe. That's a great one from Cool Bean 5.
I mean, we are pretty awesome, so.
Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, I like to think that we're pretty humble too, because no, I wouldn't say that,
definitely
actually.
not.
Yeah, no.
But as far as, again, we've talked about this in previous episodes. As far as going weekly, we would love it. We would absolutely love it. I think about it all the time and think about ways that we could try and make it work. So trust us, we'd do it if we could, and we'd always think about it and try to figure out how we can make it happen. Just right now,
we talked about this in length on the
Brit Volume 3 discussion.
Volume 3, yeah.
So I guess we're going to go on to our issue 137 discussion.
Before we do that, I actually have something kind of cool to show you.
Okay.
What?
Is this your mystery box?
Yeah, I brought a little something over here in the corner
package
that you guys don't know what it is.
Okay. You smacked my hand away when I grabbed it. I'm like, what is this thing?
So anybody that has ever listened to any of our podcast episodes, previous episodes, knows that I'm probably the world's biggest.
Oh, I think I know what this is.
The world's biggest Rexplode fan. So I got something. The reason why I like Rexplode so much is because he is that kind of asshole character that I like, but he's a good guy at heart. And the time that I fell in love with him was finding out about his origin. So what I have to show you,
there might be some noise because he's opening up this box here, which we don't know what's in here,
is the page that I fell in love with him.
Oh, nice.
This is when Rexplode, as a kid was very willingly given up by his parents just for a lump sum of money. They became rich just by giving Rex over to the government. Years later, after Rex grew up, he tracked down his parents, looked through their window, was gonna, I don't want to get into the story too much because I think that we should do this as a side. We should go over.
We did.
Invincible presents Rexplode.
Oh, the Invincible
the actual
presents.
because there's a lot more that happens in that.
We go over a ton of it in the in memoriam that we did for Rexplode.
Yeah.
All of his history and everything.
Yeah, but it's him showing up at the page that I have is him showing up at the house, looking in the window, seeing his mom and dad there. They have a a child, and it's just a sad look on his face.
I like how he like charges up a ball then drops it in the snow.
Yeah, he charges up the ball because he just sees them, and then once the little kid and the baby are in the picture, he drops it. That's an awesome page.
Yeah. Do you know why he charged the ball?
He was gonna kill him.
He wanted revenge.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, is that Nate Beauregard?
Yes, it is.
That's awesome.
What else has he done?
He did all of Invincible Presents Adam Eve Rexplode. You might know him, Bill, because he did Volume 3 of Brit.
I was gonna say that looks very familiar.
Yeah.
Like the faces and everything like that looks just like Brit.
Yeah, that's super cool.
So I wasn't expecting to get. I've been looking for a Rexplode page, and I wasn't expecting to get one that was so relevant to my fandom of his character. So thank you to Rob Hagemeister for tracking this, or for pointing me in the right direction. So what was cool too about this is that when it did come in the mail, the Nate Beauregard actually sent me unexpectedly a Rexplode commission.
Oh,
Get the
sweet.
fuck out of here!
That I did not expect at all until I opened it up. So
That's
I thought that
awesome.
was really, really cool. And he signed it, 2017. So
With a little heart. It says
Yeah.
Nate with a little heart, 17.
And those
That's
explosions in his eyes.
fucking awesome.
I love it. So, and
That looks so
I told
cool.
you guys recently that I'm starting an Invincible commission collection. So this is awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
So
And he like I just saw today that he was announced for Boston Comic Con.
yeah,
So that'd be really cool. I'd really
that'd
like
be
to go
awesome
see him. Awesome. That's cool, TJ. So, you guys ready? We're going to do this? Talk about issue 137.
It was a big one.
All right, so let's jump right into issue 137. First off, I love how Ryan Ottley said that Debbie was momming the hell out of this cover.
Yeah, I was just telling Bill that I love that picture of Mark with it hanging over his shoulders. I feel like that would be a cool commission to get from
His
Otley.
his mask, yeah.
Yeah, just hanging over his shoulder. Him still in costume.
So it starts right off with General Craig in a hilarious discussion here. He's got all his wives, because last time we saw all three of these characters, they were explaining to Thrag that Craig was telling him, I just love all of them, and he was getting in trouble for interfering with the fight in London, I believe it, or Paris, when the Flaxons came during, like, with Monax and everything like that. He interfered, and Thrag was mad at him, and Craig was like, listen, one of the women I love, was there, and I couldn't stand to let her get hurt. And so the thing is with Craig is he's becoming overly attached with all of his wives, like all of these women. And
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. At least 9.
yeah, at least 9 in this one.
He has a lot of kids, too. 1, 2, 3, 4,
12.
5, 6. Is it 12? Does it
12
say
kids.
12?
No, it's just I counted 12.
Okay.
So yeah,
Oh, and more on the way. One of them's pregnant.
you're right. I love this. I loved seeing this. I love how he's this is the first time they've all been together, and he's like, yeah, so now that you all know about each other, but then he gets called away.
His face is very stupid, perfect
Yeah.
for this scene.
Please
dumbfounded.
talk amongst yourselves, and I will return as soon as I can. Yeah, I love the way that this issue started.
No, I absolutely love it. It's great. And then on the next page, what is his name again? Lucan. Yeah.
Lucian. Lucian?
No, it's
There would be
Lucan.
an I after the C.
Yeah,
It's
I think it's Lucan.
Lucan? I've
So
never heard
then-
of that name before.
Now
Bill's
Lucan's turned in the spotlight with his child, and I love this. This is probably the funniest thing in this issue. He's kind of scolding his son for fighting back, who clearly has powers, and his son says, "Yes, Dad. Next time I'll just let him hit me until he breaks his hand." And Lucan's like, "Do you see how much more satisfaction that would bring?" I love that. And then Lucan's wife
He
shows
looks
up.
like Steve Harvey.
Like
A
a
little
younger
bit.
version of Steve Harvey.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. His wife shows up and says that she's pregnant again. So they have, and he mentions his other daughter. So now he has a third on the way. So he's getting along just fine, doing his duty. But he was the one that refused to be with any other women. He he fell in love with one woman and that was it. And Thrag was, giving a hard time about that. Then we've got Thula, the one with the
knife, dagger in her hair,
in her ponytail, and she's sitting down with her husband, and they're meeting some friends who, they're
Joyce.
Yeah,
Joyce.
their kids are friends with each other, and so it's just the two adults getting to hang out. And then Thula gets called away because the thing is, each of these four characters are getting called away to something. We don't know what yet. And
it's showing like how they're living right now.
Yeah. So, and then after that, Anissa. So she yells over to Marky, and what's the first thing you guys thought of when you saw this panel?
Of Marky holding the baby?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He looks exactly like Mark.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he does.
Like he looks like a baby Mark. It's just great. And I really like this interaction.
I like her banter too.
Right?
Like, very witty, very like...
She and I know, I'm sure there's people out there that might not like the fact that, it's redeeming a character. I really like her. Like, I like this a lot. Like,
I
she
like
genuinely feels like a different character.
I always hated her character before, but now I feel like I'm starting to like her because she's changed.
Yeah. Her husband, Scott, tells her that, how am I good enough for you? You can walk on the moon. You can, live among the stars. And she basically says how, just because I can do all that doesn't mean it's not cold and lonely, and I love how she keeps calling things horseshit. And she says, to call a thing the excrement from another creature is a delightful earth custom, and you know it. But yeah, I mean, this is part of her redemption and not the first part that we get in this issue. She says, she wasn't herself until she met Scott, and that that version of her scares her.
Mm-hmm. Which you could believe, because think about how Nolan was.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly. So you guys buy this? You guys are okay with this?
100%.
This is
100%. Yeah. There's no question. What were you thinking? Like maybe she was just like faking it or something?
Oh no, not at all. I was just thinking whether or not you guys were okay with this transformation. Like, do you think does this feel like a cop out to you? Do you guys like this? Because I love it. I think it's fine.
No, I think it's okay. I mean, it's understandable. They're all falling in love with Earth just like Nolan did, and I feel like Nolan was very like extra Viltrumite. You know what I mean? Like he was.
She was up there too, though.
Huge.
Mm-hmm.
And,
she was like a firm believer.
But I feel like if Nolan can come down, and he struggled with it hard. Mm-hmm. I feel like Nolan was more than any of these people.
The thing is, Nolan
more hardcore into the Viltrumite.
Fought with it more because he wasn't giving into it as soon. Because it took him,
because he was the first,
right? And it took him that long to. I mean, how 18 years? You know what I mean? And even then, like, he fought with it, and he was like, "No, I don't love humans," and blah blah blah. But I mean, these guys have been on Earth for 5-6 years, right? And they're already like accustomed to the ways, but it's because they've accepted it. Like, that was my first initial thing. Is like, it took Nolan 18 years before he realized that he wanted to be here, and his way wasn't the right way, and only 5 years for this guy's.
Even then, it took him leaving Earth, leaving Mark, beating the shit out of Mark, leaving his wife that you knew he loved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it took a lot for him to realize that.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, a big shout out. Ryan Ottley did awesome in this. I really like Anissa's face, and this whole issue obviously so far has been really great. It is worth pointing out that Ottley did say today that he had a guest inker for half this issue. So Dexter Vines, also shout out to him. He helped Ryan Ottley ink this issue, which is great.
Doesn't Anissa's face in that big panel on page what is it? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on page 5. Mm-hmm. It's like the fourth panel down. Doesn't it look kind of classic? Like classic comics. Like it almost looks like Lois Lane. Like from an old school comic book. It just caught me off guard because it looks very
like almost pop art. Just kind of
kind of not in a bad way at all. Like I thought that it made her look I don't know.
No.
More human, I guess. I don't know, but I just thought it looked different.
Yeah, I think it looks great. I mean, and again, Fairbairn with the colors. I really liked the look of this issue. I don't know if it was just like this whole intro was so refreshing, because we've talked about this in the last few episodes. And I looked back at them. we haven't seen anything not from Mark's point of view in so long. So we've seen Thrag's point of view and then Mark's point of view ever since pretty much Corey Walker's run. Like, there's not, if we saw it, it's because Mark's in that scene witnessing it himself. Other than a couple times with Thrag.
We've seen Nolan and Robot interacting on Earth.
Yeah, that one. Yep. But, I mean, in the last 12 issues or so, there really hasn't been much, not like it used to. Yeah. This is the first issue, I think, that it's felt like that in a really long time. We're getting other points of view, and it was refreshing. I really, really like that. And this entire issue was like that for me. So Anissa gets called away, just like the others do. And then we get our first two-page spread of Nolan on the Viltrumite ship talking, like giving the order to everybody, and basically telling them, Thrag is coming. And he tells them how he's coming with an army, and you guys don't have to do this. I don't expect you to fight, but, I'm asking if you'd consider it.
I like that he knows also. Like, he already says, like, I understand that this is going to put your family at risk. Oh, yeah. Nolan's had interaction with Earth, obviously, since, like, a lot more than we have, obviously. So Nolan's known for a while that that the whole Viltrumite, all the Viltrumites that are on Earth have conformed and have fallen in love with Earth. Mm-hmm. And it's cool that he's known this whole time, but just hasn't mentioned it. And now we're learning it, and he already knows. I think that's cool.
Well, Mark already knows too. He knows that it worked,
but we didn't.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And Anissa, General Craig, Thula, they all agree. They say, "Yep, you can count us in. We'll make preparations for war." And they turn the page, and we got Tether Tyrant.
There he is, as promised.
He's fighting robots. And in the background, we've got, it's Insomniac. Is that right? Insomniac and Walking Dread. And this is great. It was cool.
Robot looks fucking badass.
Yeah. He's got that
looks like
evil armor on.
Like a cocky little son of a bitch in the chair there.
Oh, I was talking about, like, the robot. Yeah,
they're the evil robots, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you see, there's another robot conversing with, it looks like one of the Mahler twins.
Yep.
On one of the panels down there.
And that's one of the, simpler robots, the brown one, not these evil gray ones. Mm-hmm. And, but the big thing here is we've got Bulletproof too. So this page, we've got, cool little cameos of Insomniac and Walking Dread. But Tether Tyrant, he's freaking out saying, like, how did you find us? You know what I mean? And then, obviously Robot, he knows all, he sees all. And it was just cool seeing, like, honestly, if we never see Tether Tyrant for the rest of the series, that's good. It's cool. Yeah, it's just like it's a
callback there.
Yeah, it's a little rogues gallery type thing. It's like, yep, he broke out at some point. He's out doing his thing. He's
like,
just
that's
another
what
criminal.
I would hope for with, like, Powerplex. Just give me a little something.
I know. I want Powerplex. Even Titan. You know what I mean?
This goes to show how quickly you could do that. Mm-hmm. It's one panel.
That's what I mean. Like, I felt like this issue went back a little to those kind of things, and it just felt right.
Yeah.
But yeah, seeing Bulletproof, kind of like being like a right-hand man kind of thing to
or Two-Face.
Rex. He totally looks like Two-Face.
He looks exactly like Two-Face.
So, yep. Wasn't there somebody else on the monitors? No, not really. Not really that we could tell.
Oh, yeah.
It's the rest of his fight with Tether Tyrant. But it was cool. We haven't seen Tether Tyrant since, like, it was like 83, I think it was, where he actually transformed into this creature.
He told it to take total control or something like that. Take control of it? Yeah.
To take over him?
Take over him, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, really cool. I wonder if he has full control of it now. Because remember, he blacked out for a while and went on that 4-hour rampage and then screamed that he wanted control, woke up, and they arrested him. The Guardians of the Globe arrested him. So this is where he's at. I mean, it
looks like he has control.
But it's also assumed, like, he's a bad guy in this, right? I mean...
Well, there's other bad guys there. I think
it's all a gray line right now. We don't know really. Like, Robot is fighting villains and heroes right now.
Anybody who's opposing him.
Well, anybody who's opposing it
or
messing things
really
up.
Know.
Yeah. That was great. Cool page.
We go on to next page where Nolan says, he's saying to Mark, I'm still not happy with you. You forced my hand. talking about the plan, and we talked about this last time too, about how Nolan
didn't know
about
we thought
the
it was
plan.
going to be a bigger deal.
Right.
Like they were going to fight about it, and
It wasn't as big of
honestly,
a deal, but it did give us a reason
yeah,
as to him not
because
knowing.
last week, I mean, a couple pages ago, he's announcing it to Earth to the Viltrumites like it's like
it's no
this is
big
a
deal.
thing, and we're like, and when I read that, I was like, shouldn't you be mad?
Right.
yeah.
But we get that here, and I'm resolved. I think that's resolved. That's
Yeah.
fine.
I do too.
But yeah,
I want to talk about one thing on here. There's two important things, but the one thing Mark says right after what Nolan said, don't I kind of always do that? Isn't that kind of our thing? You want to do the right thing. I just take away the choice. So I like that. Mm-hmm. You know,
and I also like how Mark is, he's happy with this, but Nolan's making it clear like you don't know the full consequences of this, and Mark goes on to say that seeing that the Viltrumites have,
acclimated to the human way.
yeah, what's the word I'm looking for?
Assimilated.
I don't know. Yeah, like they've changed their ways. Conformed.
We gave him like 3 choices there, and he still wasn't happy. Even
went
with
with mine.
I'm still not happy.
Conformed was so
He went with
easy
mine.
though.
No, I think there's
Assimilated
reformed.
is resistance is futile.
I almost feel like reformed. Anyways, Mark saying that seeing that is good enough for him. Like that's a win in and of itself. He says that's good enough for him.
But who knows how this is going? So
this is it.
Nolan saying basically that there could be consequences makes me think there's going to be major consequences. Like not just as far as like, hey Mark, you started this and now people are dying. Of course people are going to die. It's a war. But I think that there's something negative going to come out of this war. Like the end result, like the Viltrumites are going to revolt or something like that.
So
this is the end of all. This isn't a story arc that's going to continue on. So their shit is going to fucking backfire.
You're saying that everything's going to happen.
No, I'm saying you're
be a
right.
happy ending?
It's obvious.
Okay.
Shit's going to backfire. There's going to be terrible. I mean, it already does in
there's
this
going to be
issue.
a lot of things that have a bad ending.
Thrag was one
hope
step. Thrag was one step ahead of them and their plan. Like Thrag fell into their trap by following them back to Earth where they're going to have the Viltrumites fight them. But Thrag was one step ahead of that plan and saying, well, those were just fucking cadets. We're not there yet, but...
Yeah, but regardless, this is Mark's plan. We've been talking for a few episodes now, like, what is his plan? What is this that they keep, that Kirkman is kind of, not dragging out, but...
Dragging out, it was dragging
we
out.
didn't really know what was going on, and we kept getting little pieces of it. So this was it. Mark's plan was to attack the home base of the Viltrumites, lure them away to Earth.
Far from Earth, actually, the sun.
Well, yeah, but
they're by the sun, so they're not fighting anywhere near Earth. They're just
near enough to Earth to get the Viltrumites to come help. That was the whole plan. The whole plan was to get the other Viltrumites
They're
to
in
help.
our solar system.
Yeah.
But not anywhere. So the way that we were talking about was that it's going to bring it back to Earth or Earth's atmosphere. Like, why is that a smart plan? Because all of Earth is going to fucking die,
I don't know. I'm kind of seeing Earth's sun to be pretty much Earth in this case. Like, they're fighting across the universe, and here they are right next to Earth. I mean, this is obviously going to impact Earth.
Well, we don't know exactly how fast travel is in this comic. You know what I mean? But they're nowhere near Earth in terms of...
You think so?
Like our sense of distance.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that I
think that the story is going to bring them closer to Earth.
Yeah, I think
we're going to stay in the...
I'm saying that Mark's plan was not to be anywhere near Earth, but to transmit to them...
I disagree, because at the end of this, he says, why are we close to the sun?
And then the Viltrumites fly fucking from the sun, or from around the sun.
Yeah, but Mark didn't have... Well, Mark wasn't part of the sun plan. He just wanted to get the Viltrumites
Why
from
is
Earth.
everybody keeping plans to themselves when there's a major fucking war going on?
Yeah.
Come on, Alan.
So, I don't know. I'm nervous. I'm nervous of Mark's plan here. I'm not sure it was well thought through. I like the idea of getting the Viltrumites, but I almost feel like, hey, Viltrumites, let's go meet here. Get on your ships. Come if you want. I get that Mark was basically using their love for Earth, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
Right, but I mean, what was the alternative?
I guess that makes sense then.
Right? His plan wasn't that thought out, but it's honestly the best one they've got.
Yeah.
Right? Who else is going to help?
So after that is what I think might be the best scene. Oh, maybe, I don't know. This gave me goosebumps reading this. Nolan says some of the Viltrumites have changed, completely, that they're completely different. And Mark says, like Anissa. And Nolan says, Mark, what is it between you two? And then that's the end of that page after Mark, stares off. And I was worried that it was just going to put it off. I was worried that
again
he would turn the page and it would be somewhere else, someone else, or Mark would say, oh, nothing. But it felt so good to get this resolution. Like to see Nolan say,
we're finally getting
she forced herself on
to get
you.
our ending.
Yeah, like this was the resolution. Like all we're missing now, like we had that resolution with Eve, and that was very important, especially for Mark's character. But part of me felt like this was for the reader more than Mark, whereas the Eve and Mark, Mark telling Eve was very much for him and his getting over that and moving on. Whereas this felt so good for me.
It's been like 25 issues.
Yeah. I mean, just having like all the times that Nolan saw them fighting and everything like that, like this feels so good to finally get it out there. And not only that, but to have Nolan just say it like, yeah, she did that, didn't she? And it kind of him basically say, yeah, that's kind of Viltrumites, she was,
Strong.
Acting the way that we used to act, that's what we would do. And,
but saying that she's gone, like that,
yeah,
Anissa, that's
like
you,
she's
that, that's gone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, Mark says he doesn't know what to say to that. I think all we're missing from that is, we're going to see Mark and Anissa, right? Do you think there's going to be much of a reunion when it comes to that?
I think that Anissa is going to fall to her knees and apologize.
Yeah. I mean, she tried once and Eve shut her down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And,
yeah.
Yes, but I think it's going to be...
Oh, well, yeah.
She now has
His
emotions,
son?
like legit emotions. She has, I think that's another reason why she's going to be remorseful is because Mark isn't just going to see Anissa.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to see
Marky, which
do you think it'll be in the same
idea.
scene? Do you think, like, oh, man, I don't know.
Think about how this issue ended, though.
Yeah.
It ended with Marky being kidnapped, so once
Maybe.
Mark finds out that that's his son, he's going to be... A switch is going to flip, and he's going to be acting just as if it were Tara.
Man, it's a good thing that all this has resolved with Anissa, because I feel like if Anissa was still the old Anissa, we didn't like Marky. We didn't like that he existed. Mm-hmm. But now that Anissa is a good person, it almost makes me feel much better that Marky is in the picture.
I like it. It's just the only thing I still don't really care about is that in that issue, she said it takes a couple times. And it didn't. It took one time.
Right, but that was just like it could take a couple times. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's not a sure thing.
But I
do
felt
want
like that was a way of putting us off that scent.
It could have also been like it takes a couple times for you to enjoy it, for you to give in, for you to, like...
We've talked about this
I know.
so
Wasn't
much.
it about appropriation? I thought it was.
I have one thought, and maybe I should hold it till the end, but I don't want to forget about it since we're talking about it. But in the first email you wrote where Patty had wrote
after
Marky,
reading 130.
Right, Marky is the only true blood Viltrumite. He's not, because Mark's not full blood Viltrumite.
Yeah.
He's half human.
Yeah, that's true.
So that would mean
he's the most
Marky,
blood.
He's not really. It's a hybrid with a hybrid with the full blood. You know what I mean? It's as I guess so. But he's not full blood.
It is.
At all,
it is
by any
also
means.
heir to Argyle, though.
That's
the
a bigger
important
deal. That's a bigger deal.
Yeah. Question. This might be a dumb question. Can the Viltrumites not mate with each other? To make other full-blooded
Well,
Viltrumites?
obviously they can, because that's how they chose their mates, by choosing the strongest and stuff like that. But
I'm just surprised we haven't seen any of that.
I was thinking the same exact thing. Like, why are they like forced to be with humans? Why doesn't Luca?
I mean, I
and
know there's
fucking
not a
Anissa
lot of them,
or whatever.
but
wouldn't that make more sense though? Let's make strong Viltrumites as opposed to let's mate with humans. But obviously it'd be the idea was to mate with many humans.
yes. Well,
at the
no,
same
I
time.
get the reason, but it's just we haven't seen that once. And it was just interesting that
I thought the same thing. I thought it was a little weird that we haven't seen like a child Viltrumite that is pure blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't see any reason why we shouldn't, unless I'm forgetting something.
I don't think you are, because I literally thought the same exact thing.
Interesting. All right, and next up we get our monthly
Our
dose of
Taste of Terra.
Taste of Terra, our Taste of Terra moment.
Which you said last page was your favorite. This is my favorite.
this page itself?
No, the page after this.
Oh,
Page
yeah.
after it,
It's so great.
It was very
So pretty much, this is the only time Debbie's on the cover, and this is the only time that you see her is just telling Tara that she's.
Yeah, which again goes back to like just because the character is spotlight on the center of the cover might not necessarily mean that they are the main character of it. Yeah. So yeah, she's talking with Tara all about flying. Now, Bill, you probably have more, knowledge when it comes to this, but this totally feels like a little kid that wants to play with a toy that's not allowed to because it was taken away from them or something. Like the way she's talking, I love it. It's just really cute.
Yeah, it's super cute, and the writing and also the timing of it, like how you turn the page, how she's like, okay, you can just hover just a little bit, and then the next page is Tara flying uncontrollably through the city with Debbie hanging onto her leg for dear life.
Yeah, you can just picture that Tara started to fly. She started to fly too high, and then Debbie maybe, grabbed her leg to pull her down, but instead she went up, and all of a sudden they're loose in a way. Where do you see this going?
Nowhere.
Do you think
it's
that
just
yeah,
comedic.
I think it's comedic.
Yeah, just
I like the aliens that are in the upper left corner that are like
what
freaking
the
out
fuck?
about
Yeah.
I see it. I can't see next issue them not even having a mention of it. I almost feel like next issue they're both going to be fine, but maybe they're walking out of like the hospital and Debbie has a twisted ankle, you know what I mean, like, or a broken foot or something like that. Just something simple, like, and Tara feels bad and she learned that maybe she shouldn't be, like, she should be more careful.
I think that they will touch on it in the sense of her powers are growing. I think that maybe in the next issue or this issue after that, she's going to be like, look, mommy, I can do this. And they're going to be like, she's going to be like, yeah, you've gotten a lot better.
Mm-hmm. But none of us think that it's going to be a direct continuation of this scene.
This was a comedic moment.
Yeah, that's all.
It was a relief.
It's great, too. I think Nathan Fairbairn did a color in progress like he did last time on Twitter, where he showed the stages of coloring this page, which was great.
I love Debbie's face. Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it so much.
Oh, I really love this page, too. The next page, we've got Ursula kneeling down next to the bedside of one of the cadets that we assume were part of the fight last issue against Mark and everybody. And this cadet is apologizing to Ursula for living. He feels as though he should have died in order to prove his loyalty to Thrag.
Maybe he would have known my name, or remembered even my name by then.
It's very Mad Max, but it's like maybe even he would learn. Maybe he would even learn my name. Yeah.
Oh, you mean like witness me?
Yeah, witness me.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
Whole thing.
All right. Got it.
I think that like what Ursula says in response to that, she says, "Our Father loves us all. You have to know this. We were created for a grand purpose, to restore the Empire to its former glory. You don't need to die to earn his favor, young one." And I feel like that was her like trying to convince herself more than it was.
And then she says the best part of the whole speech is you need to live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She's gonna become the fucking... I feel like it's gotta be Mark, but if it's not fucking Mark, it's gonna be Ursula.
Leading the Viltrumites?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She's not gonna die. Ursula will not die.
I think that Ursula is inevitably going to join Mark.
She will, like we've said before, she will lead to the downfall of Thrag. Regardless of whether or not she joins him, she will lead to the downfall.
I'll take that back. She might not join Mark, but she's going to have a hand in taking Thrag down.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but also taking Robot down.
Maybe. That's a whole other thing.
She does?
She don't give a shit about Earth or Robot.
Robot is putting Viltrumites' lives in danger. He's going to eradicate them from Earth.
I don't even think Ursula cares so much about the Viltrumites on Earth. I think she
cares about all Viltrumites.
She does. I'm sure she does. But I don't think that we've gotten that character building from her. I think she more cares about her siblings or half siblings.
Yeah, she's seeing the injustice done to her race right now through Thrag, and she's trying to correct that.
She cares about Robot.
Yeah. I don't even think she knows who he is, does she?
No. She doesn't even know that there are Viltrumites on Earth. But when she finds out...
Oh, shit. That might be something.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Once she finds out, then she's going to be
she's going to be with Thrag until the very end and maybe deliver, maybe not the final blow, but she's going to...
A blow.
Yeah. Like Invincible is going to be on the ground about to die, and she's going to come in and save him or something.
And then on the next page, we've got Eve, who's clearly upset that she can't join in on the fight. But I think Mark brings up a very good point that they're fighting in space. And
yeah, when they were in the sky, they were breaking through her shield very easily.
Yeah,
if they break through her shield one time, she's fucking dead.
Yeah, makes sense. And obviously, he's saying, do it for Tara. Like, you have to be careful for her. So a great moment, but it's, needed to explain, what she's going to be doing in the next probably 2 issues or so, because she's not going to be around. I'm curious to what she's going to be doing. Is she going to be on the ship just hanging out, or maybe she'll end up being called down to Earth? Maybe something will happen on Earth.
Again, they're nowhere near Earth.
They're on a ship right next to the sun. Yeah. In our solar system. I don't think it's that far.
Why would they move the battle anywhere else?
Either. I really don't.
Like, they just came from another planet from a distant universe, and here they are. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like distance isn't that far. I mean, I get that it's...
Also, I don't think that they're, like, by the sun, like the way that you guys are saying it. And even the reasoning, like, they went to the sun so that they can come from the sun.
Mark
because who the fuck...
literally says, why are we so close to the sun?
Well, let's go on the next page.
I understand that.
Right.
But the reason why they say that is because they're coming from the sun in the direction of the sun, so that
they're just hiding behind the sun.
Inside, exactly. Who looks towards the sun? It has nothing to do
inside the sun.
No, not inside. I'm saying, if someone's coming at you right now, and they're in the way of the sun, you're not really going to see them coming, because who looks directly into the sun?
Not only that, but it looked as though they were hiding behind it.
Behind it, yeah.
And I think they just kind of came out from behind it.
Right.
But before Alan tells Mark that, they have a moment where Alan asks Mark if he's ready to go. Mark looks over his shoulder up at Eve on the window, and then smiles and says, "Yeah, I'm ready." I hate those quiet moments.
Yeah.
They make me so nervous.
Mark's face before that panel, like where he's just kind of like looking. It almost looks like he's wondering if it's going to be the last time that he sees Eve.
Exactly. And you could tell. And will it? Probably not, but it's to convey that to the reader.
Do we know what the cover of issue 139 looks like?
Yeah.
Yes.
We do? Mm-hmm. So we've seen every cover up to 140?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Go on.
But yeah, that's when Alan tells him that, because Mark says, is there a reason we're flying so close to the sun? And Alan says it's so that they can't see our additional forces until it's too late. So it looks as though they're coming around the sun, like coming around it, like they were hiding behind it or whatever. But there are all the Viltrumites that are coming to help. Do you think there are more than this? Like, do you think because it almost looks like normally, Ottley would draw smaller and smaller, but it almost looks as though they stop at a certain size, and it looks like there's a handful of like 10, 15 of them.
I'd say max there's 20.
Max 20.
Max.
Okay, so so we've got a group of about 20 Viltrumites, you'd say?
20 pure blood Viltrumites.
TJ, you think there's more?
I think there's a lot more.
I totally disagree.
A lot more.
Well, actually, you know what? We should go back to that.
Why would they risk this?
You know what? Wait. We should go to that page that has Nolan talking to the group of them.
Yeah. I mean, in that panel, there's probably maybe 15 of them.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, there's like a max at 20.
In that picture.
In that picture. Again, those angles. So, but then again, that's also maybe not everybody decided to go from that page. We know that, Anissa and, all of them decided to go, but yeah, I don't know. I kind of get the feeling that there's only going to be like 15 to 20 of them.
Oh, wait, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so it shows the Viltrumites, and they're attacking. They're attacking the evil.
It's just hard to tell because I don't know if there's any in the distance hidden behind.
Yeah, right. So it shows them flying through the ships and just destroying the fleet, and all those cadets are flying off into space, and then Thrag.
Well, here's another thing. I mean, yeah, Thrag says that we've lured them into a false sense of confidence because we sent out the cadets first. Now, last issue, when we were talking about all those half-breed, Viltrumites that were just bursting into blood, bombs up against them.
They're made from
I talked
tomatoes.
about the fact that they were all wearing the white uniforms.
You did.
And Ursula wore a red one. So I assumed that maybe all those ones in the white uniforms were just civilians. And that's why they were so weak. They weren't trained. They weren't fighters. And this kind of proves that, right? Like
100%.
That's what, and because now we got this page where Thrag is rushing out with Ragnars on chains with the elite guard. Is that what he called them? He said, "Gather your elite guard, Ursula." So the elite guard are the ones wearing the red uniform.
Which are the strongest of the strong. of that. I mean, they're still young. They're still young.
But also, I don't see too many tiny dots of elite guard behind them either. It looks like there's 20 to 30
there's
of those ones.
It's an even match.
So it looks like a pretty good fight here. And Thrag has Ragnar's, which we have seen in...
he was training
with them in one of Corey Walker's issues. Because that's when he sent on an Ursel. He was training with them, like giving a demonstration of how to fight them. And then Arn Ursel walked up and he said, I want you to go kill Mark Grayson.
They ain't shit.
Yeah, I don't think they're that big of a threat, but then again...
The Ragnars?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, they're...
Depending on how many he has.
True.
They will kill...
Anything in their
two
lesser?
Nobodies. Two nobody Viltrumites.
Those are still two very important Viltrumites in the war,
Yeah,
though.
if we're talking 20 versus 20, you know.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I know you don't care, TJ.
And that...
Fuck.
Okay, now...
And that is what I assumed was the last page.
Me as well.
I thought I was going to turn it and it was going to be the letters column.
Yep.
But no. We've got one more.
What is
because
it?
we were promised robot doing something else evil, ? So this shows all the families that we saw in the beginning of the issue, which is a great callback. Like, referencing all the families that we just saw in the beginning of this issue, all crying and upset. Anissa's husband is bloodied, and in front of Anissa's husband are two of Robot's evil drones holding up Marky, and what's Marky's sister's name?
I can't remember. I was thinking about it in the beginning of the issue.
And them saying, it's for your own good.
Well, them saying, with your Viltrumite parents occupied at the moment, you are vulnerable. So while I understand your pathetic attempts to resist, I must assure you, it's for your own good.
Yeah.
But you got to go back further than that. I mean, he even says, like, he's being Rex.
Oh, yeah, he's saying, this will be hard to believe. I sincerely apologize for any stress this may cause.
He's like, I sincerely apologize. Like, this is going to be tough on you guys, but it is for your own good.
On the parents.
Like, when I first read this, I'm thinking, like, in a dark, this is for your own good. But I don't think he's saying it like that. Like, if you read back, he says this is for your own good.
The reason why I read what I did was because it was a fucking asshole thing to say. He said... While I understand your pathetic attempts to resist, I must assure you. He's calling them pathetic.
And Bill, you have children.
Yeah. Yes.
Riker wants to eat a whole bunch of candy, and you pull it away from him, and you said, "Riker, you're gonna get sick. This is for your own good."
Or I can say, Riker, you're being pathetic right now, bro.
But not just that.
This is for your own good.
No, it's not like that. He's being a dick, and he's gonna kill the kids. He's letting the parents live.
You think he's gonna kill the kids?
Absolutely.
No, this is what this is. This is the same robot, the same Rex that killed all those superheroes because they would have interfered with his plans. He's saying, hey, listen, this is for your own good, because these Viltrumite children are more use to me. They're going to grow up with superpowers. They're going to be stronger. They're going to end up protecting you. They're going to work for me. They're like, that's basically what he's saying. He's saying, I'm taking your children because, and this is better for you. He's saying that, it's for your own good. That's what it is.
Look, he's trying to help the parents cope. He says, Viltrumite children, there is so much potential in what they can do for this planet. And against this planet.
Yes,
he's going to get rid of these kids.
Yes, as in he's going to, they can turn out to be evil.
Right, so he's going to kill them.
I don't know if he necessarily wants to kill them, but because he also says there's so much potential in what they can do for the planet. I think he's going to raise them up.
No, he absolutely is not.
Well, I think in his mind, he's basically controlling. That's what Robot does. He is controlling the situation.
Can Viltrumites take out Robot?
Oh, probably.
Right. At this current state, where he is on the planet, currently ruling it, he's not threatened at all, except by the Viltrumites. He's seeing this as an opportunity. No. He's seeing it as an opportunity that the bad ones are away, the ones that can stop him, to kill the kids, because he thinks that the rest of them are gonna go out and say.
That's so stupid, though. Listen,
no.
Rex,
you're stupid.
Rex is very smart. He has their children. You think he's just gonna kill them or use them against them? Think about it, Bill. Why kill them? Why?
He's going to kill them to get rid of Viltrumites entirely because
anger
they
the
are
ones?
a threat. No, because
he has the kids. Use them as ransom. Use them or build them up to fight against them. Like,
okay, I have an idea.
Either way, they're not going to kill them.
Okay, ready? So here's what's going to happen. Here's Robot's grand plan. He's going to kill the kids because they're a threat to the planet. He's going to wait to see how this war ends. That's out in space. To see what Viltrumites are left alive, and it's going to be not a lot because one or both of the groups are going to be decimated, and then he's going to finish the rest of them off with the Scourge virus. Boom.
I thought you said
Done.
the Scourge virus was never.
Well, now
coming
it's back. Now
and
it's
you
back.
argued me about it.
Now it's back. That's the fucking plan. That's what's going to happen. That's why Robot is killing the kids. He's going to wait to see how the battle ends up, and then he's going to kill the rest of the Viltrumites with the Scourge virus.
It's so
and
anticlimactic.
And that's going to. No, it's not. It's fucking crazy.
So he's going to just sit around and hang out, waiting to hear back about how the war happens.
He could send
He's going to be
drones
in the
out.
motherfucking war.
Sure. Either way, he wants the Viltrumites away from Earth. He wants them gone, dead, extinct.
Whether or not he's going to kill the kids at the very, very end or not, I think is irrelevant. He's not going. His plan as of right now is not to kill the kids. He's going to use those kids against the Viltrumites. He has a different plan for them, not to just fucking kill them off. Pizza.
Pizza. No, he would just.
Bet.
I think if he was just going to kill them, he would just kill them. He's not. He's taking them. He's
doing
not
something
going to
with them.
take them to kill them somewhere else.
Why? He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to upset the parents. He still wants to rule. He doesn't want to upset these people and upset his rule. He wants to take them and maybe say, "Hey, we're going to raise them because I
feel like your opinion is slowly changing to ours.
No, it's not.
Because you just said that like they're just
Here's my definitive. There's a line in the sand. There's no question. There's no gray area. Robot does not want to use Viltrumites. He wants them off of Earth, and he wants them gone because they're a threat. Yes.
In the next issue.
Maybe the next issue. Maybe the one after that.
His plan is not to use them against the Viltrumites in any way.
No. Why would he use them against them? What are they going to do?
All right.
I don't know. I think he's smarter than that.
He's way smarter than that.
I think there's just more to it.
I don't think
just
so.
Want to kill
Pizza
him.
bet. We're going to shake on this one.
All right.
That Robot's plan is to kill those children, not to use them, to kill them, and to get rid of all the Viltrumites.
Okay.
Whether or not it happens in the next issue is irrelevant. It doesn't. But that is his plan.
The plan is to kill the children and not use the children against the Viltrumites.
Right.
And if any of that is true, if he does have a plan to use them against the Viltrumites,
then I lose.
You owe me a pizza.
But if his plan is, if he was like, "Oh shucks, you spoiled my plan to kill these kids," then you owe me a fucking pizza.
Okay.
Shake.
It's shook.
A gentleman's bet.
Shook.
A gentleman's shaken.
All right, that's it. That's how the issue ended. Bill, you want to give us our look at the next issue?
I sure do. So next on The End of All Things, Part 6, Face to Face with Thrag and his new Viltrumite army, Mark and his allies must fight to survive while the fate of the whole universe hangs in the balance. Ryan, take us through that cover. What do you see?
I see Space Racer with Russia on the back, which is awesome. It's a great looking cover. This is one of those covers that might have the most number of people on it. That one's exciting. I think that this issue is going to be huge. You want to know why?
I do. Wait, do I want to know why? Yeah, I do.
Because this is the final issue of Volume 24.
Oh, so it's the end of a volume?
It's the end of a volume. So it's going to end with a
doozy.
And I think Nolan might be going down.
Nope, not Nolan.
I think Nolan
Robot will be
down.
the one to take Nolan down.
I agree that Nolan.
Oh, you're right.
I think I know.
Well, you think Nolan's
the Rag is going to be the one to take him down?
No, Robot.
I like the idea of Robot taking him down, but with the current story, I feel like Nolan could go down next issue. He just had a great moment with Mark.
So you don't think that it could be... I don't know. I think that it could be someone as small as Space Racer. I'm hoping.
Yeah, could be.
I'm hoping that it's Space Racer.
I don't think that at all.
But it's not Eve.
I know. Yeah, I don't know if who's gonna die, but I really think somebody might die next issue, just because it's the end of a volume. But we'll see. Exciting though.
Good issue.
Very good issue overall.
Very good issue
overall. Other than the previous one, 136, had the art like it was blown away by every page because of the art. Again, this issue, amazing art. But what I loved most about this issue is it, like I talked about before, it got back to multiple points of view in Invincible. Here's a bunch of characters. Here's some callbacks to the Invincible universe. It hasn't been the Invincible universe in a long time.
The pacing was great.
Yes.
In it. Like, the pacing was so perfect. There was a perfect amount of, like...
There was none of this whole... what plan, it's all part of the plan kind of stuff. It
Which is
finally
hated.
it finally felt
Invincible.
very invincible.
Invincible.
Yeah, it was very satisfying. So, this is leading into, I've got a couple listener letters. This one's from Jordan. I absolutely loved this issue. No action, but it had a very good chunk of story progression. And no, not filler, guys. I enjoyed seeing a checkup on how the Viltrumites are adjusting to Earth life. Craig's situation was the funniest of them all. I was actually surprised to see how on board they were with helping Nolan. That time on Earth truly has changed them. I enjoyed the exchange between Mark and his dad, quite heartwarming. As always, Tara was the comedic relief with just the right amount of her. Good amount of Ursula, along with a good exchange between Mark and Eve too. As he made some good points, she wouldn't do the best in space. I was surprised to see Thrag, of all people, have the Ragnars in his possession. Well, like we said, he was training with them in one of the previous issues. Jordan goes on to say, peep the Mohawk Viltrumite next to Ursula. I feel like he's going to be pivotal eventually, but maybe not. I keep seeing him, which is true. The Mohawked guy is next to Ursula in that scene at the end. He's also on the cover of the next issue. So, yeah, he might be something.
He might actually have some dialogue this time.
Maybe. But last but not least, Robot is a piece of shit. The dude is seriously one of the best manipulators I've seen. When Kirkman has us convinced there's nothing left for him on Earth, he drags us back in. You guys were right by saying that Robot and Thrag were going to share the villain spotlight on this arc. Nolan and the Viltrumites are going to lose their shit soon, which might lead to Robot killing Nolan. I don't feel like a death is next issue is going to happen, but it's on the horizon. Again, as always, sorry for the extremely long letter. Love always, Jordan.
Someone's dying the next issue. Faux show.
Yeah, I think so. But we'll see. I don't know. Bill, you've got an email for us.
Yep, this one is from a friend of the podcast, Niall. And Niall says, Robot! I knew it! Before I even read this last page, I knew that little snake was going to peek his conniving head. Fantastic issue. Good to see all the Viltrumites caring with families. Not so much the cadet in the infirmary. I feel so bad for him. His father doesn't even know his name. And then it's a crying emoji. Very excited for this next battle. We get to see the elite guards in action against the full-blooded Viltrumites. And then 3 really excited smiley face emojis.
Thanks, Niall. I've got another one here from Tony. He says, hey guys, I love the show and podcast. First time writing in. I've been meaning to write in before next issue. I have yet to read issue 137 as of right now, and he hasn't listened to our podcast on 136, but he's going to listen to that now. Anyways, I predict that Robot has a deal with Thrag. I'm sure Robot considered Invincible change in Nolan's mind, and although he has upgraded his bots to handle Viltrumites, Robot has said that he knows there will be lots of deaths on both sides. Robot could mass-produce his drones, but could he handle a full-scale war with either Nolan's clan or Thrag's if he wasn't joined with one of them? It seems more telling when you consider the crazed future immortal saying that Mark left him in charge. As much as Mark doesn't like Robot or how things on the Earth have been improved, I'm sorry for the length. I'll end it here. Anyways, cheers. Keep up the good work, Tony. Do you guys think that Robot and Thrag have communicated at all?
I wouldn't say that it's out of the question, but Kirkman usually gives you little hints, like Thrag on a computer talking to somebody, but you don't know who it is, and then shuts it off before somebody else walks in the room, something like that.
Yeah, I'm super curious about Robot versus Viltrumites because we've seen like him fight Mark and so on with his what would you call that? His little pulse that he puts out, the signal. Yeah, the signal.
But we know how smart Rex is, and he's had how many years of knowing. Like,
so
he's come up with a plan.
Do you think that Kirkman has intentionally kept this away from Earth and away from Robot?
Probably because
he's too much of a threat to Viltrumites?
And you're saying that there's like this massive plan that Robot has produced?
I think that Robot definitely has a plan against Viltrumites now. But
right, I just told you what it was.
I don't think that has anything to do with Thrag.
I don't think I think that Robot has a lot of, not animosity, he's just kind of, he's fearful of Viltrumites, and I don't think that he would make a pact with them, even though he did with Nolan, technically. Yeah. But I don't think that he would have betrayed Nolan.
That's true. Robot and Nolan, as far as we know, are friends.
Right.
They work together.
Exactly.
So, well, that pretty much does it for 137.
I do
TJ.
I did get a message from. I got a message from Tony Zvanek. Zvanek, I think I'm saying that right. It was like 2.5 weeks ago. He said that he did he basically wrote what his idea of the Invincible movie should be, and he sent me a PDF file that I couldn't open up on my iPad or my iPhone. I kept meaning to bring it up at work, but when I'm at work, things are very hectic, and I kept forgetting about it. So when we recorded tonight, before we recorded, I wanted to bring it up beforehand, and we brought it up on the laptop. And right when we opened it up, there was a fucking cover page. And when we started to scroll, we looked in the right-hand corner of the what's it called?
Just the scroll on the side?
Yeah, the scroll on the side. And it was tiny, meaning that he...
How many pages was it, Bill?
It was ton of work in it.
It was 143 pages.
So he wrote a
script.
He didn't write an idea. He wrote a
script. Even the format of it was like Mark,
it was
dialogue,
it was script
and
format,
then there's like camera or like
interior.
Yeah, this person. Yeah, it was fucking nuts.
So we just saw that like a half hour ago or an hour ago before
we haven't read it fully yet because it was like a lot. But we want to do something with that. So
it's so exciting.
Keep an eye out for that. That's something that we're going to be kind of...
Well, we have to talk with him about it and see what he wants to do and everything. But I am so excited to read it. Yeah. Like, that's so exciting. I'm like, when we were talking about the Invincible movie and like pitching ideas and the script that, and all that kind of stuff, what we would want, like, this is what I've wanted most. I want to read a script. Even if it's a fan script, I don't care. Like, I just want to see how it could work. I want to visualize it, and I'm so excited to read it.
It's just one option of like thousands,
yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? One possibility. But
exactly.
even if it's like remotely close.
Yeah. This is Invincible fan fiction. This is stuff we've been asking that for forever. I mean, this is so cool. So I'm excited about that. But all right, we are now at the point in which we are going to transition over into our fan spotlight segment. We actually got to sit down with Logan Moore to talk all about Invincible as a video game. We're back. Welcome to the show, Logan Moore. How are you doing today?
I am not doing too bad. How are you guys doing?
Doing pretty good. So you actually reached out to us back when it was actually when Greg Miller freaked out on the morning show over the news of the Invincible movie. So what now not only are you a kind of funny fan like us, but you actually are in games journalism, right?
Yeah, so I've been writing, I think for about a year now consistently. I write for DualShockers right now. I've been with them, I think, since February of this year, but I've been doing the games journalism thing on and off for the past couple of years, but constantly, I guess, for the past year. Mm-hmm. So happy 1 year anniversary, I guess, to me.
That's awesome.
Is that like a freelance kind of thing, or how does that even work?
So, everywhere I've been so far has been volunteer based. I've just been kind of trying to get like an initial portfolio together. Believe me, I'm at the point where I would like to get paid for it. We get, not to go like too much behind the curtain where I'm currently at, but we get like small stipends here and there. But it's nothing consistent and nothing that I can quit my day job for just yet. Mm-hmm. But I'm working towards that and trying to figure out how to start getting paid for it more moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Has that always been something you've been wanting to do?
So for like the longest time when I was a kid, I actually wanted to make games. And then I started getting into the programming and I always knew I was terrible at art. So I was like, okay, I couldn't do anything creative or drawing or anything like that. And I started doing the programming stuff. I was like, I really hate this. Mm-hmm. So I kind of just tried to figure out what it was I actually really liked about video games. And it's like, oh, it's just talking about it. Is there a job for that? And I was like, oh, wait, yeah, because I get 5 magazines in my mailbox every month. So, yeah, obviously there's a job for that. So then from that point, it just kind of, I don't know. I didn't really pursue it too much until college. And then the past couple of years, I've been really working towards it.
Cool. What kind of games do you play?
Everything, a little bit of everything. I've got some blind spots with like Japanese games and JRPGs and stuff like that, but I've really been trying to broaden my horizons this year, specifically.
Good segue.
I really like that game. That's actually one of my favorite games so far this year. But yeah, I've been trying to play a little bit more of everything. pretty much anything on any of the main consoles that's like a notable release, I'll try to get to. I don't have a PC. I've got a Mac.
Good for
so
you.
anything that comes out on
Good for
PC is not played by me half the time until it comes to consoles. What Undertale's coming to PS4 now. I'm excited for that. So
very cool. Now we actually, wanted you on the show to talk about Invincible as a video game, but before we get into that, how did you start reading Invincible? Like, how did that start?
So I'm actually trying to think. So you brought this up to me earlier, and I started trying to go back in my head and realize how it started. So I think I had been reading The Walking Dead, obviously, because The Walking Dead had blown up. I was into Kirkman's stuff. And the more I got into Walking Dead, I was like, this dude just is a really good writer. I'm interested to read his other stuff. So I think I just, on a whim, I started like checking. I always like to buy trade paperbacks and stuff like that. Like that's how I'll get into a new series. And I think I was checking eBay, and like some dude was selling like the first 10 trade paperbacks for like $50 or something like that. So I just grabbed the first 10 trades of Invincible in one fell swoop. I was like, I guess I'm reading this now.
Yeah.
And the first couple really didn't grab me. I was like, this is pretty generic and hokey. But of course, anybody who reads Invincible knows what happens after those first 10, 12, 15 issues. And then from there, it was just, I was full on addicted. I think I brought all of the trades with me on vacation, and I read through them all on the way down there. And then I think I finished them, and I was like, we have to go to a comic book store down here. And my dad's like, all right, that's fine. And I did. And I think I went and I bought like the next 8 or 10 or however many there were for me to catch up. And I just like binge read the entire series in 1 week.
Wow.
And
so you're a rather new reader, would you say?
So I think that was 2015, if I'm correct, 2014, something around there. So 2 or 3 years. I've been buying the single issues since then. I think I've been buying the single issues since about 105, 110, something in there.
I feel like the news of it ending sucks more for you. Like the person who like just got into it, like within the 2 years, like, oh, I fucking found something that's great, and then 2 years later, like, fuck.
Yeah, it's like finding out about that band.
But for us, it's been, a long, rather a long ride. You know what I mean? Like we've been reading it but I mean, still for the newer reader, I'd say within the past 2 years, like you are, that must have sucked bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it was always like one of those series that was on my radar as well because I had heard so many good things about it. Mm-hmm. I've got an entire shelf of comic books in my room, and I collect I have hundreds of Spider-Man comics and tons of Batman stuff. Like I have a lot of comics that I do not need. So I'm always looking to like get into a new series. Even right now, there's like 2 or 3 that I have circled. It's just like, when do I want to make that monetary commitment to dive into a new series? Yeah. And so I had known about Invincible for probably 4 or 5 years before I finally actually was like, okay, yeah, I guess this will be the one that I get into. And I did not expect it to be probably my favorite of all time. Mm-hmm. It's probably only between that and really Ultimate Spider-Man at this point is like my 2 favorites. Not the Miles Morales stuff, though.
Yeah.
Not the OG.
Yeah, it's cool. I was reading one of the first things that got me into comics. I started reading comics relatively late in my life. I grew up on like the animated X-Men, animated Batman, and Spider-Man, stuff like that, and that was kind of the things that I got into. I loved the Fleer X-Men cards and like the trading cards and everything. But as far as comics go, it wasn't until later on, closer till almost Civil War. It
was like right before Civil War.
Yeah, I was in high school, and I really got into Ultimate X-Men, and I liked the tie-ins with Ultimate Spider-Man, and it's great. It's fun looking back. Kirkman wrote for Ultimate X-Men. There's actually a run of Ultimate X-Men that he wrote for, right?
There's Joss Whedon did.
Am I thinking of Joss Whedon?
You're thinking Joss Whedon.
What am I? All right, then
Kirkman was thinking of Marvel Zombies.
I was getting those two mixed up.
Marvel Zombies, Robert Kirkman did, and Robert Kirkman did Marvel Team Up, which I have the first one and signed it.
Oh, cool.
So Spider-Man, you're a big fan of Spider-Man. What were your thoughts on? I read your article on before going to E3 on the Spider-Man video game.
Yeah.
So kind of bringing it back to video games a little bit. What did you think of the what they revealed? Because you actually were there. Did you?
I was there. Yeah.
You got sent down to E3, so.
Be honest, Be honest.
Trust me, I will be very honest. Like I came out and everybody was freaking out about the Spider-Man thing. I think it was obviously the best thing Sony showed that night. But because I do love Spider-Man so much, I had more reservations, and I was more like, I just have this image and this idea in my head for like what I want them to do with that game. And I didn't hate what I saw, but it was like not the demo I wanted to see. If you read that piece that I wrote, I basically just wanted them to swing around the city for 10 minutes, and that would have been totally fine by me. And I just wanted, I wanted to see how the world interacted. I wanted to see, obviously, like thinking of Spider-Man games, like you think of like Spider-Man 2 and the My Balloon and that lame stuff. I want to see how the open world does interact though as you're swinging around it, and I'm hoping that there's like little missions you can do, one-off things that you can do as you're swinging around. Like I want to see that stuff. Obviously, the demo they showed looks much better for a 10-minute time slot that they have at the end of that conference. But it looked very much like the Arkham games, which I was not expecting, between the perching on top and kind of scanning the enemies down below. There was a stealth element to it. Then even like the gadgets and stuff like that, the little thing he throws onto the side of that to web that dude. Like it looked, and the combat also had those Arkhamisms as well. So I wasn't expecting that. But that's fine with me because I adore the Arkham games, like probably one of my 5 or 10 favorite franchises of all time. So I'm fine with them taking influence from that. That said, I just really wanted to see more of the web swinging. There's a lot of web zipping, which I wasn't like.
It did feel
I don't know.
A little canned. You know what I mean? Like a little contained. Like it was a little too clean and polished. Like when they do like the Division demo or something, when everything goes a little too perfect. Yeah. And so, yeah, I agree. It didn't really give a good example of what the finished, like what we're going to be doing.
Now, this is Insomniac, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was expecting something that was going to be completely different from anything we've ever seen before. I mean, obviously, open world
like
web
a Ratchet
slinging.
And Clank kind of thing.
No, not like that. But Insomniac.
That'd be cool though.
But something different from fucking Activision. You know what I mean? Like it looked like an Activision Sony game, like it did, dude, with like Arkham. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't impressed at all. The only thing that I thought was cool was the little bit of web slinging that you saw, and he hit a corner really hard and he kind of slung out. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if you've seen that. Like, so I'm sure the web slinging is gonna look a little bit more intuitive and natural. But overall, I was expecting something unlike something we've seen.
I don't know.
Before.
The moment it was so seamless though, and I know I just said that it seemed kind of canned, but him going through the building and just the fluidity of his movement, jumping over to the desk.
It was just a quick time event.
Cool.
It was just a quick time event. It was
very directed though.
That looked more like the running through the building thing looked more like an Assassin's Creed or something like that, where I assume you'll probably just hold down a button and he'll do all the vaulting himself. But yeah, as far as the web swinging go, I thought it was cool. The running on the walls and stuff like that was cool. If you played Web of Shadows, that game was really about keeping your momentum going.
We did play the shit out of that.
Right up here, TJ.
Oh, all right.
If you
high-fived.
The web swinging in that was really focused upon like keeping you going, keeping you moving. So like even if you hit a wall or something like that, it wasn't going to stop you. You were just going to then use that wall to keep yourself moving. So it looks like the same thing's going to happen with this one. I don't know. I have no doubt in my mind that it'll be an amazing game. Insomniac's one of my favorite devs. It looks like I want to get a PS4 Pro for it and a new TV just to play that game. I'm so excited for it. But that, like I said, there are very specific things that I want them to do with it. And I hope that they nail it. And I wasn't crazy about the Miles thing either. I just don't like Miles.
Yeah,
is that okay?
I don't like. I feel like I don't know enough about Miles to really.
I don't either.
I never really.
But I don't care.
I just hate. Can we not call him Spider-Man? Like, can he just be something else? Like, I would be so much more accepting if he was not Spider-Man. Like, I don't understand this trend within Marvel over the past decade to like. Hey, here is what's the like black girl who there was that the Riri girl who like became they're like she is now Iron Man or Iron Woman or whatever. It's like, why can't you just make a new character? Like I mean Iron Man's Tony Stark, Spider-Man's Peter Parker. Like these are the characters. Create somebody new to live alongside them. That works better to me than trying to say it's the same character when it's not.
And Kirkman even kind of spoofed that with Bulletproof. You know, like that whole.
It was supposed to be.
Yeah,
It was supposed to be
yeah.
bulletproof. It wasn't supposed to be invincible.
Yeah, I mean, it was this whole. I mean,
Well, it was supposed to be a
comics were
spoof,
doing this
yeah.
whole thing where they're just trying to reinvent to, I don't know, maybe get more readers. I mean, you know.
I mean, Ottley drew when he drew it up that he drew up bulletproof.
What do you mean?
What?
When the original costume for Invincible was
Oh no,
Bulletproof's
well
costume.
that you mean Cory Walker, but no,
Or
that
Cory Walker. That's what
no,
it was.
I'm actually talking about when Bulletproof became Invincible in the comics for a while. That was kind of that spoof.
But I'm saying the comic was originally called Bulletproof.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And that even plays into it even more.
Yeah.
But like, so speaking of gaming conventions, they've been kind of rumblings of them making an Invincible video game for a little while now. Back in 2006 at South by Southwest, IGN actually had an interview. Naomi Kyle talked with Dan Murray, who's the president of Skybound Interactive.
2016.
Oh, sorry, 2016? Did I say 17?
You said 2006.
Oh, geez. Yeah, sorry. 2016. Yeah, not that long ago. But in 2016, so this was March of last year, IGN had a video, actually, that, interviewing Dan Murray all about making Invincible into a video game. It was a little odd because I don't know who asked for this video to be made, because it seems a little too small for IGN to be like, hey, is there an Invincible game coming out? And then Skybound have nothing to say. So it was a little weird.
Yeah.
But he basically said they're just highly motivated to make it happen as quickly as possible. They want to make sure they find the right team and the right game, and they want to try and do something a little bit different. And then this year, a couple months ago, both in a Reddit AMA and on a Skybound Insider video, TQ Washington, who is the executive producer at Skybound Interactive, said that Invincible is on the top of his list, especially with the fact that there's a lot of characters with superpowers. A fighting game is on the top of his list. Like there's an action RPG, an MMO. He went through a couple things. Both him and Dan Murray were in that Reddit AMA, and both of them are saying that Invincible is on the top of their list as far as a video game property. So yeah, I mean, I just want to talk to you guys about what do we want to see from an Invincible video game, and what do we think we will actually see from an Invincible video game?
I think.
All right. Well, do you think we should let the guests? Do you want to voice your opinion first? Because I have ideas too, and I have many opinions. But go ahead, Logan.
It's hard because in a perfect world like we would have, and with unlimited funding, I think that we could think of like the most incredible superhero game ever with the deepest systems and the most open of worlds and all that stuff. The problem is it's not going to have the funding to do any of those crazy things or be developed by a AAA studio. So that immediately just makes me try to think smaller. I mean, even look at like The Walking Dead, like Telltale Games aside, they've been trying to make a good Walking Dead game for years, and that's The Walking Dead, and they can't even really do that.
That's a great point.
So that immediately makes me concerned knowing that if they were going to make an Invincible game, that it would just be a pile of trash, which makes me want to rethink how they would do it. Like, I think feasibly, like we can get into the craziness. Like if you want to create the perfect Invincible game, we could talk about that because I have it.
Let's start with like something crazy. And you know what? I'm actually I got an email that I want to read that was sent to us that I think this will be a good kickstart into this whole, in a perfect world type Invincible game. This is coming from a friend of the show, Jason. He wrote in, talked a little bit about the newest issue, 137, and how did you get to read it yet, Logan?
Yeah, I actually just read it like 30 minutes before the show.
Awesome. He talked about how it broke his heart to see all the young Invincible kids getting like basically brainwashed and everything, and how terrible that was. But as far as video game, he says he thinks the Telltale trend would be the best option. But then he goes on to say that...
wait.
What?
I think the trend of the Telltale type video games would not be the best option.
Yes. Sorry, Jason says the trend of the Telltale type video games would not be the best option. Invincible has some of the best action in comics, and it would be a shame if it was not carried over into video games. I would also not want to see the video game try to find a place within the Invincible story as we know. What I propose is that the game take place hundreds of years in the past. You play as a Viltrumite agent that you're able to create and that is tasked with taking over the planet that happens to be much like Earth with a large population and regular people. Your character would have to decide how he or she wants to accomplish her goal. You would have the freedom to go on a rampage or start slaughtering. the story would function like a choice-based RPG in the vein of games like Fable and Dragon Age, but you would already have access to enough of your Viltrumite powers that you would feel like a god from the start, thus making fights with anyone that can actually hold their own something special. Keep up the great work, Jason. So yeah, I mean,
that's a pipe dream right
obviously,
there.
like,
It sounds very DC universe.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Like,
That's
an
how-
MMO?
you open up, you walk around. There's Battle Beast. There's
Dragon Age, like Inquisition,
Create
is very
your own
much
player.
like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously, like, picture Mass Effect. You have your own ship. You can go replace the Krogans with the Battle Beast race, replace the Solarians with, I don't know, the Martians and Invincible. I mean, of course there's some giant game that you can have there, but, I mean, is it feasible?
I think that, first of all, I think that we are going to get a Telltale Invincible. I think it's 100% going to happen.
Just the fact that Skybound's already got something in The
that's
Walking
going to
Dead.
happen. As far as moving beyond that, I don't think that it really could be done right now. Something bigger, like open world. I don't think it can be done with a character like Invincible that flies. Like, if you look back at like the Superman Returns video game, it was like they tried, and I thought it was a pretty good try, but it wasn't good. Yeah. It wasn't good at all. I don't think that, I think that if they did do it, it would have to be groundbreaking. And I don't think that, like Logan said, they don't have the budget to, create the first ever amazing, flying video game.
It's like making a Superman game.
Arkham worked because he was gliding. You know what I mean?
It'd almost be a new genre. Like, they'd have to completely recreate a new genre where nothing else exists.
And that's, TJ, that's almost my point exactly, is that I don't like when superhero video games give you that much freedom, because it just shrinks the world too much. And the thought of being invulnerable and invincible is not fun, I guess, because just like if you remember playing Superman, but when you're Spider-Man, you're slowly web slinging through the city, like you're not just zipping through it. Almost like if you have the power to fly, it's like you can demo, like you're a programmer and you're just like, okay, I'm going to go to this part of the city and just zip there and do nothing fun. So I don't know if it would work as an actual literal
open
world action game. I think the only way that it would be kind of fun and cool and story driven is if it was a Telltale game.
I mean, I like Jason's idea of it not taking place in Invincible continuity. I think that's important.
I think that the world we live in now thinks that it has to be every big game has to be open world. Mm-hmm. But you just brought up Logan just brought up Web of Shadows. Web of Shadows is a Spider-Man game that is not open world and was one of the best games I've played with Spider-Man. Spider-Man games that I've played.
Web of Shadows was open world.
But it
was it one of the Shattered Dimensions was the one that wasn't. Is that the one you're thinking of?
I like that one.
Was that the one with all the different Spider-Mans?
That's the one we played.
With like
Shattered
Noir
Dimensions
and stuff.
Yeah.
There was a sequel to that where it only had two of them, and
Edge of Time.
Yeah, that was really good.
That's the one I was getting mixed up with.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What do you think, Logan? I'm sorry we kind of cut you off a little bit.
No, you're
ranting.
No, there's 3 other people on the podcast. Yeah, I don't know, because similar to what you said with Superman Returns, no one's been able to do the I can fly around the city and I'm all powerful and make that open world aspect of the game work. As we're sitting here talking about it though, and I'm trying to match up the comics with a potential game. For starters, I think you have to play as Mark. That's just Invincible is Mark, and it is his parents and Eve, and that is, the world is great, the world's cool, but it is Mark to me, and it needs it. Mark is as central to that comic to me as Peter is to Spider-Man or something like that. So I think it has to have him in it. But as I'm sitting here trying to think about it, what if you somehow did the open world thing, but you did some time restrictions as well? Think something along the lines of a Persona, where you have to be at certain places at certain times, maybe after you get out of high school one day or something like that. You have to either go work at Burger Mart or something like that, or you could go hang out with the teen team or something like that and go fight people. Or late at night when you go home, you can either study or you can go out on a late night patrol or something like that. If they could somehow,
Persona 4 Golden. That's the only Persona that I played, but I'm thinking turn-based action would be really cool. And it doesn't have to be some big grand special effects 3D. It could be something that's a little bit more muted, a little bit easier, artistically, because we're not going to get that big 3D Arkham looking game. I mean, that's not going to happen. But
then I guess it would have to be an RPG as well, like you said. So would it be turn based, or would it be an action game where there are RPG elements, but it's all in real time? How would you do that? There's 1,000 different combinations. I'm also gravitating towards like an idea like, did you guys ever play the Scott Pilgrim beat 'em up game a couple years ago?
That's on my list of things I wanted to suggest.
Like, I think that could work really well, that style of game.
Basically the arcade TMNT, or the old X-Men, or like a side-scrolling beat 'em up. Like that's cool. But in that same vein, I really think the best option in my mind that would kind of, that I think has the best option of being good as well as, being possible would be a fighting game. I think that having a roster of, you got 10, even 12 characters, we think of all the different locations that you could fight in, even if it's like, picture Marvel vs. Capcom 2 style. It doesn't have to look like Injustice. It doesn't have to be 3D. It could be just a 2D fighting game. Then you've got people like, Rexplode. You've got Monster Girl, who basically like the Hulk in this. You've got Conquest.
Why would anybody play that game though?
What do you mean?
Like because a fighting game, no new IP fighting game has ever come out, and it's like this really different thing. It's like Marvel vs. Capcom. You know both those things. You know those heroes. DC versus whatever it was, the Injustice, the DC. Like everything is already like everybody knows it. But then you just have this weird, like, okay, so it's a superhero. Like people would be like, okay, you're a superhero, but I've never heard of this superhero before, unless it comes out and it's licensed with the movie.
I was going to say it'd have to come out after the movie. I think one thing they could do to set it apart, too, is just make it... I mean, not necessarily set it apart, because there's plenty of games like this, like Mortal Kombat, but just make it super, super bloody. Like, have it stand out.
You're right.
Like that, like the comics are, because, that's a really understated part of the comics, because I've been reading them for so long now that I almost forget sometimes during those fight scenes. I'm like, man, there's a shot there's a... one little snippet in the new issue where Nolan flies in and saves Eve, and he is just top to bottom covered in blood. And I was like, holy crap, I forgot how brutal this comic is sometimes, man. Like, I mean, I think that could maybe set it apart if it was like, hey, look at all these bright color superheroes and they're beating each other to smithereens. Like that dynamic could maybe show off well, but that would be the problem, is that people wouldn't know the characters. But then again, there's fighting games where it's just like, hey, we created a new fighting game that has a cool new system, like Skullgirls or something like that. Like, no one knows who those characters are. They play it, though, because the fighting's good. So if the fighting mechanics at the core of the game were really good, I think it would be less about, I want to play this because of the characters, and more, I want to play this because everyone in the fighting community says this game is fantastic.
Yeah, but the thing about Invincible is not that the thing that sets it apart isn't, in my opinion, the fighting, or you wouldn't be able to take that aspect and make a cool video game. It's the story of it. It's the story and the...
Yes, but going back to your statement on who knows these characters, why would they care, that could be said towards any genre of video game. No matter what game it is, people don't know these characters. What reason do they have to play?
But I'm just saying it couldn't be... I just don't think that it could be a fighting game.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Because you want it, when it comes to a fighting game, people usually have a character that they gravitate towards.
Right, exactly. They're like, I want to play as this person and fight this person, you know what I mean?
Typically, games don't come out unless they're based on something or not based on something. You know
but if it's not based on something, it's something like Horizon.
Bioshock. I was going to say Bioshock was its own universe. It was a video game. So, a video game doesn't typically get released if it's based on something from a comic book. Walking Dead was released after the show already came out, and people already loved it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think
they'd have to build that whole universe before doing a fighting game.
Though, I agree that the story is probably the biggest part of what makes Invincible. But
that's
if you were
it was going to be a Telltale game.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I was getting to. But if it wasn't just the story, if you were to ask what's the next thing, it probably would be the brutality. I mean, like Logan was saying, the blood, the violence, and that right there is a fighting game. So, I don't know. But yes, going back to story, And I think we might all agree that I think the most likely thing is Telltale.
I think it's going to happen.
Who said it? Someone, maybe you said it, where they'd have to reinvent. Yeah, you said it. They'd have to create a genre. Why couldn't they do a Telltale game that's more interactive than the recent Telltale games? Like, when you fight, it's an actual video game, but like when it's the mostly story-driven stuff, it's the conversation pieces, like something that's super scripted but kind of lets you off the rails when you fight.
I mean, that
kind of did that.
That would be awesome, but I don't trust Telltale to make anything gameplay centric. Like they haven't worked on anything. What's their pedigree of gameplay? There is none.
So frustrated.
But I'm not even. But I'm not even saying Telltale, because clearly they can't do it. Like, as soon as you move faster than a walking pace, the game just fucking stops working and glitches. You know what I mean? So when you got people flying around, but something like that, it doesn't have to be a Telltale game, but it could be super scripted, and then the action is off the hook, you know, because I cannot see even flying around, if it's done right, fun, because you're not restrained. There's no fear of falling, of running out of web fluid, of like, you know, I can't glide anymore, so I have to grapple.
Maybe that's what Dan Murray meant when they said they wanted to do something a little bit different. I mean, that might be part of the reason, if they are struggling, why they're struggling, because it does seem difficult. And the thing is that, as we're talking here, there are a lot of different games. We talked about how it could be an RPG. We talked about how it could be a beat 'em up, a fighter, a Telltale game. There's a lot of options, but it's figuring out how to do it right.
Yeah, it's just the grand idea of making an open world high budget game is just not. I guess coming back to where we started, it's just not feasible, or it won't happen. So it has to be at that point. What are we willing to settle for? I don't know. Like, and personally, like, as much as I would like adore an Invincible game, like, I think I'm content with never really having a standout one. Like Spider-Man, like that's like I want a good Spider-Man game very badly. Like Invincible, though, like I realize that it probably would never work, and I've accepted that, and I'm okay with that. Like if somebody were to come along and prove me wrong and like make an amazing Invincible game with like a cool single player experience, then that'd be fantastic. But I'm not expecting that, so I guess I'm more okay with it. I don't know.
I am too. Like the more that we talked about it, the more I don't want to say that I don't care, but I really don't care about an Invincible video game right now. You know what I mean? I just don't think.
And I mean, odds are it'll end up being either Telltale or a mobile game. There's several Walking Dead mobile games.
I don't count that though. If a mobile game comes out, I'm not going to be like, oh, I can't wait for that. You know what I mean?
But that's what they could be talking about with a video. It's Skybound Interactive.
Yeah,
it's not.
It could be, but
they are the same. That's the same group of people, the same team that puts out the Walking Dead video games. You know, or mobile games. So
but I just wouldn't care about it. I don't care about mobile games.
It's going to be a match 3.
That would be great.
Well, I don't know. Anything else you guys got as far as being a video game?
I gotta ask who your favorite character is.
In Invincible?
Yeah. Who's the first person that comes to mind?
Boom, go right now. Gun.
It's Mark, but I'm trying to think of like somebody not Mark, because that's such a lame answer. I really like Nolan. I do. I don't know. Just like seeing his entire journey across the course of the comics. And I don't know, just seeing him beat the crap out of his own son like 15 issues in or whatever was like really staggering for me when I first read it. I don't know. I've liked seeing his whole journey across the landscape of the comics. But Battle Beast is awesome too.
Oh yeah.
May he rest in peace.
A lot of people say Battle Beast, but I think you're right with Nolan. I don't think enough people admit that how awesome of a character Nolan is. Like just him and
remember when he was in the prison? You know what I mean? Like he's had a lot of
there's a lot of shit that happens to him, and he's so humble now too. Like remember how arrogant he used to be, and he's just such a humble leader, you know, and I
just like how he made everything so casual at the beginning too. Like when he gets caught up into that other dimension or whatever with the one race, I can't remember their names, and then he just like shows back up randomly, and he's got it. And he shows back up, and he's got a beer, and he's like, I'm home or whatever. It's just like I like those moments with him. Like he's so down to earth and casual about what he does, and his whole family's like, yep, okay, we're used to that. So
just another day in the life.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us about this, Logan. It was fun.
Yeah, no problem at all.
And we're back. Thanks again for coming on the show, Logan. And remember, if you want to read more of Logan's thoughts on video games, check out his written work over at DualShockers.com. He's also on a video game podcast called Millennial Gaming Speak, which you can find more about on their site, which is modelcitizensmedia.com. As for us, we're on Twitter, Facebook, and of course, email at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. Thank you all very much for listening. Bill and TJ, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
It's still TJ, bitch.
Oh,
Hi. Or bye.
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 Okay, bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bill, talking to the mic, like, really
Hi,
close.
hello. Hello. Hi, is anyone there? Hello.